M gets mad at me after I slapped her son for looking up my skirt, by user willingness long 9514. I don't know if this is the right subreddit, but this is the best place I can think to post. So I, 16F, was walking at a park near my house. Since it was finally starting to warm up, I decided to wear a skirt for the first time since like October. So I passed the playground, and as I was walking away I hear someone running up behind me. As I'm walking out of the corner of my eye I see two hands grab the sides of my skirt and lift it, completely exposing my panties. As soon as this happens I turn around and without hesitation backhand the person holding my skirt. Then I realize that it was some kid who looked to be 10 or 11. He looked pretty shocked that I slapped him. But before I could ask him what the hell, this kid's mom, who we'll call Karen, comes running out of nowhere and slaps me across the face and starts yelling at me. The conversation went like this. Karen, how dare you? Me, ow, what the hell? Karen, don't you ever dare touch my baby. Me, how about you teach your baby to not be a perv? Karen, slaps me again, don't you ever talk to me or my son like that, he's just being curious, boys will be boys. Me, ow, it's not being curious, it's sexual assault. Karen, maybe if you weren't dressed like a slut, I just wearing a skirt that was one hand above my knee and a t-shirt, he wouldn't get so curious. Me, maybe if you taught your crotch goblin how to respect women he wouldn't be looking up skirts. Karen, where are your parents? I doubt they let you leave the house looking like a slut. Me, yet I think that's what my parents would get mad about, the way I'm dressed, and not that your son lifted my skirt. With that Karen got her son and left saying, let's leave, we don't talk to whores like her, and so I flipped her off as we both walked away. I wish there was a more satisfying ending to this, but unfortunately, that's just how life goes. Asterisk, sorry for the awful formatting, I wrote this on mobile. Asterisk. My mother decided my inheritance won't pay for my college after I told her she should get a VPN, by user Fat Dogs. My mother bought an Android TV box that can stream any new show or movie for free, which I told her was technically illegal, but her response was, streaming isn't illegal because we aren't downloading the content, and I said aight, and left it. Turns out our internet service provider isn't too keen on this though, and throttles our whole network to unbearable speeds when the box is in use. However, the box will hog all the throttled bandwidth, so the movie will still stream, but every other device will be kicked off the network. When I told my mother about this, or asked them to just pause for a bit so I am able to get any work done, her response is always, I pay for the internet, and it seems to be working, so you can deal with not having internet while I'm watching TV. I've been dealing with this for 2 weeks now. I was disqualified from 2 job interview technical tests, had to plead to retake a midterm with my professor, and often get booted when I'm on a call with my GF, whom is long distance going to school, and we only get 2 or 3 hours to talk a day. When they left for a bit today, I did some troubleshooting and found that a VPN fixes this problem. So when they came back I told her that a VPN fixes the problem, and they should use one anyway since their activities are illicit, and it also helps keep their information safe. Her response unsurprisingly was, I bought the box to stop paying for subscriptions. I'm not going to pay for something when the TV works just fine, you can live without internet. I thought she'd at least be reasonable, and I was going to offer to pay for half the yearly subscription to ExpressVPN, $100/year, but instead I was just shocked and left. Shortly after she came to me and told me that I should just pay for the VPN because I'm the one who would be using it anyways. I told that's not how it works, I wouldn't be using it, but I'll split the cost with her. She didn't like that answer because she then started to go off saying, you're 22 and you don't pay for anything, you should start at least paying for rent, and to use our internet. Now I know that statement doesn't sound too bad, Reddit, and I agree, taken out of context it's probably fine, but here is some background for context. My parents told me that I can live rent-free till I graduate college, which led me to go to the local university to save money and not have to pay for room and board. My tuition, on the other hand, is just barely covered through a small sum of money my grandfather left me when he passed, but the account holder's name is my mother's. If that doesn't cover my tuition, I would pay it myself out of pocket. My brother, on the other hand, moved out to go to college, and his financials are a different story. My mother fully pays for his tuition, room and board, and groceries, so he doesn't have to work while he goes to school. The tuition and room and board together for him are almost 3x what my tuition alone costs, and yet she pays that without batting an eye. Anyways, to continue the story. My mother continued going off, telling me that starting now I'll have to pay rent, it'll be $1,200 a month, I have to pay for the VPN so I can access the internet, also I'll have to be paid for the internet since you're the only one who uses it anyways, and finished off her list of demands by stating also, the trust won't be covering your tuition anymore, so you need to pay me back the $26,000 that it's paid so far." I was silent and just left. I broke down into tears when I got to my car and just started driving. I haven't talked to her since and am just fuming that she would hold my inheritance ransom. I have 2 months till I graduate, and was planning to just yeet out of here the day I do, but every month it's something else that's my fault and I have to pay for. It started off with groceries. I now buy over half the groceries and make dinner for me and my parents 4 days a week because you should start making us dinner since you should learn to cook. Then when I got my tax refund, she made me give her half of it because I did your taxes, so I deserve your tax refund. Which I didn't ask her to do, I just came home from work one day and she had already filed them. Same thing with the stimulus checks during COVID, you shouldn't have gotten the stimulus check, it should be mine since I'm your mother after they didn't qualify because their income was too much. Me and my father are going to go to see a show tonight. He sees the stark contrast in the way she treats me compared to my brother, and has even told me before that I know she treats you differently than everyone else, and you just need to not cause a ruckus or stir up anything with your mother, and just leave as soon as you graduate. But he won't actually stand up to her or oppose her on anything, so whatever she says goes. Update 1. Thanks to everyone's suggestions and responses, my phone crashed with all the notifications. Also in response to checking my SS number and financials, I know they aren't draining my accounts for one reason or the next. She isn't in debt or whatnot, her and my father, married, have amassed a small fortune where money won't be an issue for the rest of their lives. Also as for the trust, I am not allowed to touch it except for paying tuition and only tuition, until I am 25, so I can't drain it and run. Also I just silently paid for a VPN and put it on the boxes last night. I haven't talked to or seen my mother since last night. I'm just going to keep my head down and try to survive another 2 months. I'm hoping that nothing will come of it till after graduation, in which I'll be long gone. I'm deep into my senior final project in college, and can't just uproot and leave because I won't have anywhere to set up my desktop to finish it. I could if school wasn't in person this semester. I was planning to move out of state and live with my GF this year, but the college pushed to in-person way earlier than anyone expected. My mom treated my hospital stay after a suicide attempt like she was a patient and I can't get over it. TW by user OKCell4428. My mom is a recovering addict with unresolved mental illness. There weren't any rooms available in the psych ward or any nearby, so I was in a shared ER room with other patients coming in and out. This was in September of 2020. I had been struggling with a lot of things, bipolar, trauma, depression, the works. It wasn't my first time, but it definitely was the closest I got to death. I was brought to the hospital and my mom met me there. I stayed 2 nights of absolute hell. She robbed me of recovery. She slept in the bed with me, demanded the nurses around to get food and blankets for herself, scolded me endlessly for being rude or not being polite enough, and yelled at me when I asked her to leave. I just wanted to be alone. I wanted time to recover and get my body back in check, to think things over in the safety of a medical facility, and I was robbed of that. Edit. Thank you everyone for the kind words. I don't think I'll be able to respond to everyone, but I appreciate it all. My dad is forcing me to either quit my job or to half my hours, yet refuses to support me financially despite the fact that I'm a minor. Is this normal? By user Nobitixinks particular. For reference, I'm 17 and am in school full-time, 5 days a week. I work 12 to 8 on the weekends and haven't had a day off other than for COVID leave since August. Of course my 7-day week schedule isn't ideal, but I really appreciate the income and have grown to like my job. Last summer, I really struggled to find myself a job. I was 16, and after dropping in and emailing 40 different employers and revising my CV about 1,000,000 times, I lost all hope. My parents decided that I was old enough to support myself and cut me off financially and stopped giving me bus money or lifts. I live in the countryside, about 20 kilometers away from all my friends, so I spent the summer completely alone, which was really difficult for me. All of my employed friends had gotten their jobs through their parents or friends of their parents, but my parents still made no effort to put in a personal word on my behalf to any employers they were on friendly terms with. Anyways, August rolled around and I finally got a job at a McDonald's about a half-hour drive from me after 4 months in isolation. My parents immediately turned their noses up at the mention of McDonald's, but I wasn't in any position to be picky and I'm still very grateful for the job. They have always put massive pressure on me to do well in school, and so, to please them, I've been overexerting myself for months and have a long streak of A's and B's. Unfortunately, I miss a day or 2 of school on average a month because of my period. For years, I've spent once a month paralyzed with cramps and nausea, which are a million times worse than what any other girl I've talked to about this has ever experienced. I'm convinced I have endometriosis and have brought the subject up with my parents again and again over the years and have begged them for a hospital appointment. 4 years later, and I still haven't seen anybody about my period pains, and I still continue to miss school over it. Despite this, my parents are constantly on my back about the days that I've missed at school and yet neglect to get me any sort of help or treatment for what I'm going through. About 2 months ago, I missed a week of school because I was sure I had COVID when in actuality I just had a bad dose of tonsillitis. My parents were furious when I tested negative for COVID and nagged and argued with me about it for about another month until I actually did test positive and ended up missing another full week of school. I have since caught up on all the work I missed and I haven't broken my streak of A's and B's. Today and yesterday I stayed home from school because I've had another bout of tonsillitis, which went untreated last time and this time as well. Apparently, this was the breaking point for my dad, and he called me down from my room and told me if I didn't either quit my job or drop down to 1 day a week he was going to go into my manager's office and withdraw his parental consent himself. He blamed my illness on work and told me that it was unacceptable that I was missing school and told me that I needed to take a day off to dedicate wholly to study. I tried to reason with him and showed him my report cards and recent test results and told him my grades were perfect and that I couldn't be blamed for catching COVID or tonsillitis. He shut me down and told me that my grades didn't matter because the fact remained that I was still missing school. I'm unsure what to do or how to change my dad's mind. I know a 7-day week is extreme for someone my age, but I have no other option. In order to see my friends and do nice things in the city outside of school, I need funds. In order to have funds, I need a job. My parents want me to have both a school life and a social life, but won't give me a single cent out of their pocket to get me out of my countryside jail cell. Pocket money is out of the question. I've tried to negotiate my way into making some kind of deal with them by doing good in school and doing any chores my parents ask of me, but their argument is that I shouldn't be rewarded for doing the bare minimum of what is expected of me. Now that I have my own job, I'm financially independent and can no longer be guilt-tripped by them about money or by my laziness. I am currently saving for a month-long holiday during the summer and I already have deposits laid down and plane tickets bought. Still, I need to earn a little extra money to pay the entire thing off. It's my reward to myself for the effort I've put in at school and for all the hours I've worked. I really want to do something nice for myself before I hunker down and inevitably quit my job for my final year at school next year. For me, my job allows me to actually do nice things for myself, and to see my friends quitting it or slicing my income in half is not an option. Without it, my parents have made it very clear that they would not support me or give me any kind of pocket money to get a bus to see my friends or to treat myself. I've proved to my parents time and time again that I can excel in school, take care of my physical and mental health, see my friends and simultaneously work, but they're still not satisfied. I'm very frustrated by this whole situation as I am an only child who is fortunate to have 2 working parents who are married happily. Still, it often bothers me that I have friends with 5 siblings and a single mother who have better financial support than me. Of course, I know people's financial situations are not nearly as straightforward as that, and I don't mean to sound spoiled, but it is frustrating for me and I wish my life could be different. What can I do? Am I being an asshole by not obeying them? Is this fair? Any advice would be appreciated so much, Side note, just to clarify, yes, my parents buy me food and let me live under their roof and pay for my schooling, just in case that wasn't clear. But it doesn't go much farther than paying for my basic needs. Clothes, underwear, sanitary products, etc. are all bought by me. My mom threatened to euthanize my dog if I didn't go on a roller coaster, by rest in peace Eternal. This happened some time ago, but I just remembered it, and it pisses me off just as much as the day it happened. So here goes. Some time ago I was in Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. I hate the place, since I don't like amusement parks. The rides give me anxiety and stress me out, and trekking around them is exhausting, and I also get quickly uncomfortable around lots of people, and Hershey Park has, you guessed it, a lot of people. Regardless of this, my parents never stop talking about it, and always try to guilt me about it. So this one time we were there, and my parents wanted me to go on a ride. Even though I had voiced my problems to them several times. So somehow, my mom thought, he loves his pet foxhound, why don't I threaten to put the dog down if he doesn't go on a ride? And she told me this, and I almost immediately began to tear up. I didn't want to lose my dog, but roller coasters scare the living hell out of me. She said I had to go on this one called Lightning Racer, which is a rickety piece of crap that's also quite tall, exactly what I'm terrified of. But I had to go on it, otherwise, as I was told, my dog would be killed. So I did. My mom said I'd enjoy it. I didn't. Hated it. It was awful. Gave me a cramp for the next day and a half, left me shaking and shuddering for the rest of the day, and gave me even more hatred for Hershey Park. I still haven't forgiven my mom for it, and I don't think I ever will. I actually told her about it around half an hour earlier, to which she responded with the fakest, non-genuine sorry I've ever heard. Didn't even take her eyes off the TV. And to this day my parents wonder why I dislike them and the damn Hershey Park so much.